Module 6 case study, problem identification and analysis, what we know. Well, we know several things. First, we know that Dr. Forbes is a very well-respected principal. He's respected in the community and among his peers. He has recently won a Principal of the Year award. We also know that the school serves a very affluent community. We know that Miss Walker, while she has a considerable amount of education, is a fairly inexperienced teacher. We also know that there's some tension between Miss Walker and her students. We know that someone has created an offensive and threatening web page directed at Miss Walker. And we know that Miss Walker suspects one student in particular, a student named Randy Franks. What we need to know? Well, we need to know the person or persons responsible for the message and the web page. We need to know whether there's a actual legitimate threat against anyone's safety. Uh, we need to know what the school policy is, probably concerning online threats and harassments, um, and especially if we find out who's responsible, and to see the appropriate way to discipline them. Although any online policy will probably uh, take this kind of thing pretty seriously. Uh, the problem. Well, the main problem is that Miss Walker has been sent a threatening message on a web page. She's very fearful and upset about it, and she suspects it originated from one of her students. And then there's an additional problem. There's been a lot of tension between Miss Walker, her students, and parents due to her teaching style and expectations. Um, so both these problems really need to be addressed. Immediately, we need to deal with the threat, and then in the long term, we need to improve the relationship Ms. Walker has with between herself and her students. So my plan of action, well, I would do two things pretty much immediately. I would contact our technology department to see if they can investigate the source of the email. I'd also contact law enforcement. Um, uh, Ms. Walker is very concerned about her safety and fearful, and I would take her concerns very seriously. And so I would contact law enforcement. And then depending on how they want to deal with the investigation, whether they wanted to work on it, simultaneously, it might be something where they might want to take the lead in it, I guess, or if not, I would probably pull in some of the students that Miss Walker suspects, and without accusing them, I might just kind of try to get an idea of what's going on. You know, uh, Sometimes students know things, and they might be able to help. After completing I would definitely complete have a real investigation and have actual evidence before I would discipline any students. But if we do discover the students that were involved, I would discipline them, and I would take this pretty seriously. Um, but I'd also want to use it as an opportunity to kind of educate them on the seriousness of this kind of thing. Uh, um, and of course, I would follow any guidelines in the district policy. And then, after this online threat's been resolved, I would probably work with Miss Walker and try to help her develop a better relationship with her students. There's certainly nothing wrong with having very high expectations, but I try to make sure that she's really giving the students the support they need to make these expectations, and that she has reasonable expectations of her students, and maybe help her maybe communicate these expectations a little better with parents. So and then I would also probably develop a school-wide training in cyberbullying and responsible internet use. This is an issue schools have across the country. So I think it would probably wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe devote a week to cyberbullying and responsible internet use, and perhaps just have some type of 20-minute little video or discussion, an actual plan for every day for about a week to teach students about responsible internet use and some of the possible legal consequences for cyberbullying and online threats. My resolution. Well, my resolution addresses the threat and the effect of this threat on a safe, efficient, orderly learning environment. This isn't just a prank. It was certainly taken very seriously by the teacher, and if we have teachers fearful for their safety, it's just not going to be a good environment for anyone at school. So this is something that definitely needs to be taken seriously and addressed, which I did in my plan of action. In my plan of action, my resolution, it educates students on acceptable internet use and possible legal ramifications. I think this is real important to try to use this as a learning opportunity for the whole school. Not only just to prevent this kind of thing from happening again, but to help the students understand that sometimes things that they may think are a joke can actually have very serious consequences. My resolution addresses the tension between Miss Walker and her students. In the long term, this has got to improve, just for everyone. So debrief the problem, what I was thinking, feeling, and valuing. Well, I was definitely valuing the welfare of Miss Walker and her students. I didn't want to see anyone being fearful or upset from getting threats from students. Would value everyone in the school, staff and students. I was also I was a little disturbed about Dr. Forbes and how he considered this to be possibly just a prank. Even if it wasn't actually a threat that someone was going to carry out, this is very serious. I mean, just to have this kind of thing directed towards anyone in the school, and a teacher, prank or not, this is something that it's really pretty serious, and you just can't assume something's a prank. Any kind of threat needs to be taken very seriously. And we saw that with Miss Walker, and she was concerned about her safety, and I don't think that he should have delegitimized her concerns that way. So I was also valuing just the success of all students. So this kind of threat causes a significant disruption in the school. I mean, how is Miss Walker expected to actually teach if she's got to deal with threats and bullying from students? What's still unresolved is if the person or persons responsible can be found out. We may never discover who's responsible for this, and if we don't, how are we going to address Miss Walker's concerns for her safety? This may cause some difficulties. And also, how's Miss Walker going to respond to any type of discipline? I mean, is it realistic that if the student gets found, that they're going to get, taken out of the school for very long? How's she going to feel, with whatever kind of consequences the student faces? Also, how's she going to respond with our plan to work with her in developing a better relationship between her and her students? How will she respond to, just advice and guidance on some of her teaching? So a lot depends on, whether we find the people involved and how well Miss Walker, responds to whatever the outcome is. Category 5. So through this, I demonstrated integrity and ethical behavior by taking the concerns of Miss Walker very seriously. Also by not jumping to conclusions and just focusing in on just that Randy Walker, but doing a real impartial investigation, and also bringing in other people such as the law enforcement or the technology department to make sure that a thorough and fair investigation is being conducted. And also, just supporting Miss Walker's concerns. Uh, taking those seriously. That's really important. Um, I treated people fairly with dignity and respect. Again, by taking the concerns of Miss Walker very seriously. Uh, really have to. Anyone that comes with these kind of concerns, whether I believe that if they're reasonable fears or not, I need to take them seriously, treat them with dignity and respect. Also need to follow all the district policies, just to make sure I'm being fair and impartial when it comes to disciplining students. And respecting the students. I don't want to go around just accuse a student just because a teacher suspects them without, any real evidence that they're behind this. So I didn't want to go right out and accuse the Randy Walker of being behind this unless I have some actual evidence. I demonstrated a personal and professional code of ethics, again, by taking the safety of students and staff very seriously. Um, any kind of threat, has to be taken seriously. And also by prioritizing student learning and success. I didn't want to just find out who did this and punish them, but to help both them and everyone involved in the school learn from this incident. And again, that comes with prioritizing staff professional growth. And this would be a great opportunity to also have both staff and students learn more about cyberbullying, online harassment, and the different types of consequences, the effects they have on people, the legal consequences involved. So this is all very important.